I'm going to tell you something most women won't. When a woman is attracted to you, she hides it. Not to play games, not to be manipulative, but because the cost of showing interest too openly to the wrong man at the wrong time is a cost women have been conditioned to avoid for thousands of years. So instead of telling you, she signals, quietly, carefully, in ways that could always be explained away if she needed to. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night when I think about how many connections are missed because of this. Most men miss every single signal she sends, not because they're not smart enough, not because they're not paying attention, but because nobody ever taught them the language. Today, as a woman, I am going to teach it to you. Every sign, what it means, why we do it, and what you should do when you see it. By the end of this video, you will never look at a woman the same way again. I want to tell you about a man named James. James was 31, smart, genuinely kind, had his life reasonably together. He'd been working at the same company for 2 years, and about 4 months before this story takes place, a woman named Priya joined his team. Within 2 weeks, things started happening. Priya would end up at the coffee machine at the same time as James, almost every morning. She'd ask him questions she probably already knew the answers to. She'd laugh, really laugh, at things James said that weren't quite funny enough to deserve that laugh. She'd stay a few extra minutes after team meetings if James was still in the room. James noticed all of it, and then he talked himself out of every single thing he noticed. She's just friendly. She does this with everyone. I'm probably projecting. I don't want to make it weird at work. He repeated these things to himself like a mantra for 3 months. And then one Friday afternoon, James overheard Priya making plans with a mutual colleague. She was going on a date, not with him. And in that moment, James realized the coffee machine, the questions, the laugh, the lingering, it had all been for him. He wasn't being humble, he was being blind. James is not unusual, he is the rule. The majority of men miss attraction signals not because they're oblivious, but because they've never been shown what to look for. So before I give you the 5 signs, I need to explain something fundamental about why female attraction looks the way it does. Because once you understand the why, the signals will make complete sense. Here is what I need you to understand about female attraction. And I want you to really sit with this because it changes everything. Female attraction is not designed to be obvious. That is not an accident. That is not a character flaw. That is not women being manipulative or playing games. It is a deeply wired biological and social reality that has been shaping female behavior for longer than recorded history. In evolutionary psychology, there's a concept called differential parental investment. Women, by biological design, face far greater consequences from mating with the wrong partner than men do. The physical and social costs of an unwanted pregnancy, of choosing a man who is not capable or not committed, these costs are asymmetric. Women bear more of them. What this produced over thousands of generations is a female psychology that is deeply risk-averse when it comes to signaling romantic interest. Because signaling interest is exposure, it's vulnerability. It's handing someone power over how you feel. And women, consciously or not, have learned to signal in ways that are real enough to invite a response, but deniable enough to be retracted if that response is wrong. Deniable signals, real intentions. A smile that could just be warmth. Eye contact that could just be coincidence. A question that could just be curiosity. A touch that could just be friendly. She is communicating clearly, intentionally, unmistakably to the part of you that is paying attention. And most men are not paying attention to the right things. Now here is the second layer, and this is the part most dating content completely misses. Those signals are not just communication, they are also evaluation. When a woman signals interest subtly and watches to see if a man notices, she is simultaneously communicating and assessing. She is asking without words, is this man perceptive enough to read what I'm putting in front of him? Is he confident enough to act on what he notices without needing me to make it completely explicit? Because a man who cannot read a room, a man who needs everything spelled out in capital letters, is a man who might not be reliable in other ways too. This is not cruel. This is ancient, and it is completely unconscious on her part. She is simply responding to how you respond, and her attraction either deepens or dims based on what she sees. So what I'm giving you today is not a game to play. It is a language to learn. When you see these signs, you are not catching her doing something she shouldn't. You are simply finally hearing what she has been saying. I want to give you 2 stories. Same setup, very different outcomes. Marcus and Daniel went to the same gym, not as trainers, just as members who went at the same time every morning. And both of them had noticed the same woman. Her name was Jade. She was a regular. She always had headphones in, always looked focused, didn't invite conversation. Except, she kept ending up near whoever she was interested in. Daniel noticed Jade, but Daniel was in his head constantly. She has headphones in. She wants to be left alone. She didn't look at me for long enough. She's probably not interested. I'll wait until I'm more sure. Daniel waited for 4 months, by which point Jade had stopped coming. Marcus noticed Jade too, but Marcus had learned, not from a book, just from paying attention over time, that when a woman positions herself near you repeatedly in a space where she could be anywhere, that means something. When she finds a small excuse to ask you something, even when she has headphones in, that means something. Every deliberate coincidence is a choice she made. Marcus caught her pulling one headphone out to ask him something minor. He smiled, answered, and then said, "You're here every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm Marcus." She blinked, then laughed, then told him her name. 6 months later, they were together. The difference between Marcus and Daniel was not looks or confidence in the traditional sense. The difference was that Marcus had learned to read the signals, and Daniel missed it entirely because he was waiting for something louder. Please don't be Daniel. Now, here are the 5 signs. I'm going to go deeper on each of these than you'll hear anywhere else. Not just what they look like, but why we do them. Because understanding the why is what makes you actually able to recognize them in real life. Sign 1. She creates excuses to be near you. This is the most fundamental signal and the one that is most consistently dismissed as coincidence. What this looks like in practice, she ends up at the coffee machine when you do. She is suddenly in the parking lot when you're leaving. She volunteers for the same project. She sits near you in a group setting when she had other options. She replies to your message in a group chat, privately. Now here is what I need you to understand deeply about this sign. Women are socially intelligent. We are highly aware of how we position ourselves in space. A woman who is near you repeatedly, in variable contexts over time, has made a series of small decisions that all led to the same outcome. She did not wander into your orbit. She navigated there. The individual coincidence is plausible, but the pattern is intentional. 1 instance could be chance. 2, worth noting. 3 or more, across different settings and different days. That is not coincidence. That is a woman who wants to be in your world. Sign 2. She remembers what you say. The human brain is selective about what it retains. We remember things that are emotionally significant to us. Things connected to people who matter. When a woman recalls a detail you mentioned once, a restaurant you like, the name of your dog, something about your childhood, and she brings it back weeks later, she has been thinking about you in the time between. Memory is not neutral. We do not retain information about people who are irrelevant to us. If she is storing what you say, she is storing you. Here is what this looks like specifically. You mention in passing that you're trying to learn to cook. 3 weeks later, she says, completely unprompted, "Did you ever end up making that pasta you were talking about?" That is not small talk. That is a woman who went home and thought about you. Sign 3. Her body faces you in groups. This one is rooted in some of the most robust nonverbal communication research we have. The body's orientation is one of the least consciously controlled signals a person gives off. When we are attracted to someone, our body turns toward them, our feet point at them, our torso opens toward them. Even when we are talking to someone else in a group, even when we are deliberately looking away, the body orients. Here is how to observe this. Look at where her feet are pointing, not where her eyes are. The eyes can be directed deliberately. The feet almost never are. If her feet are consistently pointed at you, that is an involuntary signal she is not consciously controlling. Additionally, notice whether she mirrors your posture. When you shift, does she shift? When you lean forward, does she? Mirroring is another unconscious behavior that emerges in attraction. The body synchronizes with the person it's drawn to. Sign 4. She finds small reasons to touch you. I want to spend some time on this one because I think it's the most misread signal on this list. Touch between men and women is one of the most regulated social behaviors we have. Women do not initiate physical contact with men we feel nothing for. Not casually, not habitually, not repeatedly. Women do not touch men they don't think about. What this looks like: a hand on your arm when she's making a point, a light tap on your shoulder when you've said something funny, passing you something directly when she could have just set it down, adjusting something near you when she didn't need to. None of these look like moves. All of them are. The specificity of the touch matters. It is almost always on the arm, the shoulder, or the hand, the parts that are socially acceptable but still intimate. She chose to do it. Sign 5. She is nervous around you in a specific way. This is the sign that is most often misread as disinterest, and it breaks my heart honestly because a man saw a woman being awkward and concluded she wasn't interested. Let me describe what this looks like. She speaks slightly faster than usual. She laughs before a joke has quite landed. She touches her face, her hair, her neck while you're talking. She stumbles on a word she normally wouldn't stumble on. She fills silences in a way she doesn't with other people, because silence near you feels charged. This is not the nervousness of someone who dislikes you. This is the nervousness of someone who cares very much about how this interaction goes. Research in social psychology consistently shows that elevated arousal in the presence of a specific person is one of the most reliable indicators of emotional investment. The person we are indifferent to does not make us stumble. The person who matters does. Now I need to talk about 3 traps, because knowing the signs is only half of it. Trap 1. Seeing signals that aren't there because you want them to be. Not every friendly woman is sending you signals. One sign in isolation could simply be her personality. What makes these signs significant is when they cluster together, when they are consistent over time, and when they are directed specifically at you. Pattern, exclusivity, consistency, all 3 matter. Trap 2. Waiting for certainty she structurally cannot give you. I'm speaking as a woman here. She is not going to make this unmistakable. Not before you've made a move. She cannot. Not without absorbing all of the social risk herself. Trap 3. Analyzing the signals instead of responding to the moment. There is a point where analysis has to stop and presence has to begin. When you see the signals, you don't sit there mentally cataloging them. You respond. You make a move. Awareness leads to confidence. Confidence leads to action, in that order. The goal is not to make you a better analyst. It is to make you a man who acts with the clarity of someone who knows what he's seeing. Now let's talk about what she's been saying. James never moved. He waited for Priya to give him something so clear, so unmistakable that he couldn't possibly be wrong about it. And she couldn't give him that. Not because she didn't want to, but because making her interest completely explicit would have required her to absorb every bit of the social risk herself. She showed him everything she could show him, and he was looking for something she wasn't able to give. James is smart. James is kind. He genuinely wanted to connect. And he didn't, not because he wasn't enough, but because he was waiting for a language he'd never been taught. You have that language now. She's already talking to you. The woman in your life, the one who laughs a little too much, the one who seems to end up near you, she may already be showing you everything she can show you. The question was never whether she was sending signals. The question was whether you were finally ready to see them. Now you are. Drop a comment below. Tell me which of the 5 signs you've been missing. Be specific. I read everything, and I'll respond. And if this video gave you something, subscribe to this channel, because every single day I come back here with something she would never say out loud. But I will. Tomorrow, We're going to talk about one of the most confusing things women do. She was warm, she was present, and then she went cold. No fight, no reason, just distance. I'm going to explain exactly why that happens. I'll see you then.